What if the way her mind works isn't just different, but deliberately designed for depth? What if the calmest person in the room is also the most neurologically prepared to lead herself? And what if the secret to her quiet power is etched into patterns of attention, motivation, and restraint that most people never notice? Welcome to time-tested advice, where ancient philosophy meets the modern world. I'm your host, Alfred. Let's get started. Ever met a woman who just operates on a different frequency? The one who walks into a room and doesn't seem to need anyone's approval, yet commands a quiet respect. Who thrives in solitude but isn't shy. Who sees the rules and then calmly decides which ones actually matter to her. Yeah, you might be looking at a Sigma female. Forget the loud alphas or the supportive betas. The Sigma is a fascinating archetype all her own, defined by profound independence and an inner compass that points true north regardless of the crowd. And guess what? Neuroscience and psychology are starting to suggest her brain might literally be wired for this unique way of being. Buckle up, because we're diving deep into the 14 core ways the Sigma female brain operates differently. This isn't just personality. This is the fascinating hardware running the software. 1. The independent thinking framework. The Sigma female's brain operates on what we could call an independent thinking framework. Unlike other personality types who might look to others for validation or direction, her neural pathways have developed to prioritize internal processing over external input. This isn't just stubbornness or rebellion, it's a fundamental difference in how she approaches decision-making. When faced with a choice, her brain automatically filters out the noise of social expectations, peer pressure, and conventional wisdom. Instead, she runs everything through her own internal logic system. Research in cognitive psychology suggests that individuals with this thinking pattern have developed stronger connections in the prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for executive function and independent reasoning. This means she's literally wired to think for herself first, then consider outside opinions if they prove valuable. You'll notice this in how she approaches everything from career choices to relationships. She doesn't ask, "What should I do?" but rather, "What makes sense for me?" Her brain has learned to trust its own judgment above all else, which can be both incredibly empowering and sometimes isolating. 2. Emotional regulation through solitude. Here's where things get really interesting. The Sigma female's brain has developed a unique approach to emotional processing that relies heavily on solitude. While extroverted types might process emotions through social interaction and talking things out, her brain has wired itself to find clarity through introspection. When stress hits or emotions run high, her default mode isn't to call a friend or seek comfort in others. Instead, her brain signals for space and quiet. This isn't antisocial behavior. It's her most effective emotional regulation strategy. Neuroscientists have found that people who regularly practice solitary emotional processing develop stronger neural connections in areas associated with self-awareness and emotional intelligence. The Sigma female's brain has essentially become a master at this internal emotional laboratory. She uses alone time to dissect her feelings, understand their origins, and develop strategies for moving forward. This process often leads to incredible emotional resilience and self-knowledge that others might spend years trying to achieve through external means. 3. Pattern recognition over social cues. Most people's brains are wired to pick up on social cues and navigate complex interpersonal dynamics. The Sigma female's brain, however, has developed a preference for pattern recognition over social navigation. This means she's incredibly skilled at spotting trends, identifying inconsistencies, and predicting outcomes based on observable data rather than social signals. Her brain processes information more like an analyst than a social butterfly. In conversations, while others might be reading body language and social hierarchies, she's listening for logical inconsistencies or identifying underlying motivations. This gives her an almost uncanny ability to see through superficial interactions and get to the heart of matters quickly. This pattern recognition extends to her professional life as well. She often excels in fields that require analytical thinking, strategic planning, or problem solving, because her brain naturally seeks out these patterns and connections that others might miss. For selective attention to social hierarchies. Here's something fascinating. The Sigma female's brain doesn't completely ignore social hierarchies, but it processes them very differently. While alpha types might be wired to climb these hierarchies and beta types to find their place within them, the Sigma female's brain evaluates them from the outside. She understands how these systems work, sometimes better than those actively participating in them, but her brain doesn't trigger the same reward responses that would motivate her to engage. It's like she's watching a game she understands perfectly, but has no desire to play. This selective attention allows her to maintain relationships across different social levels without getting caught up in the politics or drama. Her brain simply doesn't prioritize social positioning the way others do, which often makes her incredibly valuable as a neutral party or advisor. 5. Risk assessment through internal compass. The Sigma female's approach to risk is another area where her brain wiring shows up distinctly. Instead of using social proof or external validation to assess whether something is worth pursuing, her brain has developed a sophisticated internal risk assessment system. This internal compass combines logical analysis with intuitive understanding in a way that often leads to surprisingly accurate judgments. She doesn't need others to validate her choices because her brain has learned to trust its own evaluation process. This can sometimes make her appear reckless to others, especially when she makes decisions that go against conventional wisdom. But more often than not, her internal risk assessment proves remarkably accurate because it's based on her own capabilities and circumstances, rather than generic advice or social expectations. Her brain has essentially developed its own decision-making algorithm that factors in her unique strengths, limitations, and goals in ways that external advice simply can't match. 6. Communication processing, quality over quantity. The Sigma female's brain processes communication very differently than most personality types. While some people are energized by constant interaction and others seek regular social validation, her brain has developed a preference for meaningful, substantial communication. This isn't about being anti-social or difficult. Her brain simply filters communication through a different priority system. Small talk and surface-level interactions don't trigger the same reward responses in her neural pathways as deeper, more substantial conversations do. When she does engage in communication, her brain is working overtime to extract maximum value from the interaction. She's listening for insights, authentic connection, and meaningful exchange of ideas. This intense processing style means she often prefers fewer, higher quality interactions over frequent, shallow ones. This communication style can sometimes be misunderstood by others, but it reflects a brain that has optimized itself for depth over breadth in social connections. If you're enjoying this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, say hello, and consider subscribing to our channel. And if you'd like to support our channel further, you can find that in the description. 7. Self-motivation through internal standards. Perhaps one of the most distinctive features of the Sigma female's brain wiring is her self-motivation system. While many people rely on external validation, competition, or social pressure to drive their actions, her brain has developed an internal motivation system based on personal standards and values. This internal drive system is incredibly powerful because it doesn't depend on outside factors. Her brain generates motivation through personal goal achievement, skill development, and alignment with her own value system. This makes her remarkably consistent in her efforts and resistant to the ups and downs that can derail people who depend on external motivation. Research in motivational psychology shows that intrinsically motivated individuals often achieve higher levels of satisfaction and success in their chosen endeavors. The Sigma female's brain has essentially hardwired this intrinsic motivation system, making her incredibly self-directed and purposeful. 8. Conflict resolution through strategic withdrawal. Here's where the Sigma female's brain shows another unique adaptation. When faced with conflict or drama, her default neural response isn't fight or flight, it's strategic withdrawal. Her brain has learned that most conflicts resolve themselves or become irrelevant when you step back and let them play out. This doesn't mean she's passive or avoids necessary confrontations. Instead, her brain has developed a sophisticated conflict analysis system that quickly determines whether engagement is worthwhile or if withdrawal is the more strategic choice. This approach often frustrates others who expect emotional reactions or immediate engagement, but it's incredibly effective. By removing herself from unnecessary drama, she conserves mental energy for situations that actually matter and often gains a clearer perspective on the real issues at hand. 9. Learning through observation and synthesis. The Sigma female's brain has developed a unique learning style that combines intense observation with internal synthesis. Rather than learning through social interaction or formal instruction, she often prefers to observe, analyze, and draw her own conclusions. Her brain excels at taking in large amounts of information, identifying patterns and connections, and creating her own understanding of how things work. This learning style makes her incredibly adaptable and often leads to innovative insights that others might miss. This observational learning style also means she often understands people and situations at a deeper level than those who are more actively engaged. Her brain processes social dynamics, professional environments, and complex systems from an observer's perspective, often leading to remarkably accurate insights. 10. Value systems based on personal truth. The Sigma female's brain operates on value systems that are largely self-developed rather than socially inherited. While most people absorb values from family, society, or peer groups, her brain has developed the ability to critically examine these influences and create her own ethical framework. This doesn't mean she rejects all social values, but rather that her brain processes them through her own filter of logic, experience, and personal truth. The result is often a highly personalized value system that guides her decisions and actions. This internal value system makes her incredibly authentic because her actions genuinely reflect her beliefs rather than social expectations. It also makes her somewhat unpredictable to others because her choices are based on internal logic that others might not immediately understand. 11. Relationship approach. Depth over network size. The Sigma female's brain approaches relationships with a distinctly different strategy than most personality types. Instead of building large networks or maintaining extensive social circles, her brain prioritizes deep, meaningful connections with carefully selected individuals. Her neural reward system seems wired to value relationship quality over quantity. This means she invests significant emotional and mental energy in the relationships she does maintain, often resulting in incredibly strong, lasting bonds with those who understand and appreciate her approach. This relationship style can sometimes be challenging for others to understand, especially in our socially connected world, but her brain has optimized for meaningful connection over social validation, leading to relationships that tend to be more authentic and fulfilling. 12. Future planning through self-reliance. Finally, the Sigma female's brain approaches future planning with a fundamental assumption of self-reliance. While others might plan around partnerships, social support systems, or conventional life paths, her brain naturally develops plans that assume she'll be handling things on her own. This isn't pessimism or lack of trust in others. Rather, her brain has learned that the most reliable foundation for any plan is her own capabilities and resources. This leads to incredibly robust life strategies that can weather unexpected changes or disappointments. Her planning style often includes multiple contingencies and alternative paths because her brain naturally considers what she'd do if external support systems fail. This preparation mindset makes her remarkably resilient and adaptable when life throws unexpected challenges her way. The integration of these 12 patterns. What's truly fascinating is how these 12 different brain wiring patterns work together to create the complete Sigma female experience. Each element reinforces the others, creating a personality type that is remarkably self-contained, authentic, and effective. Her independent thinking framework supports her internal motivation system. Her pattern recognition abilities enhance her strategic approach to conflict. Her preference for solitude enables deeper self-knowledge, which strengthens her internal value system. This integration creates a personality type that operates from a position of genuine strength rather than reactive behavior. She's not rebelling against social norms. She's simply operating from a different neural blueprint that prioritizes internal coherence over external approval. Understanding and appreciating the Sigma female. For those who don't share this brain wiring, understanding the Sigma female can be challenging but incredibly rewarding. Her different approach to life isn't a rejection of others or a superiority complex. It's simply how her brain has learned to navigate the world most effectively. If you recognize these patterns in yourself, understanding them can be incredibly empowering. These aren't flaws to be corrected or antisocial tendencies to overcome. They're legitimate cognitive strengths that can lead to remarkable success and fulfillment when properly understood and applied. For those in relationships with Sigma females, whether romantic, professional, or friendship, recognizing these patterns can dramatically improve your interactions. Don't take her need for solitude personally. Don't expect her to be motivated by the same things that drive you. Instead, appreciate the unique perspective and authentic presence she brings to your life. The value of neurological diversity. The Sigma female represents an important type of neurological diversity in our society. While extroverted leadership styles and socially connected personalities often get the most attention, the Sigma female's approach to life offers valuable alternatives and insights. Her ability to think independently, maintain emotional stability through solitude, and operate from internal motivation systems provides important balance in groups and organizations. She often serves as the voice of reason, the strategic thinker, and the authentic presence that others can rely on. Understanding and valuing these different brain wiring patterns isn't just beneficial for Sigma females themselves. It's crucial for creating environments where all personality types can thrive and contribute their unique strengths. Conclusion. The Sigma female brain represents a fascinating example of how human neurology can develop different strategies for navigating life's challenges. From her independent thinking framework to her self-reliant planning style, each aspect of her mental wiring serves a purpose in creating a personality type that is remarkably authentic, resilient, and effective. These 14 patterns: independent thinking, emotional, regulation through solitude, pattern recognition over social cues, selective attention to hierarchies, internal risk assessment, quality-focused communication, internal motivation systems, strategic withdrawal from conflict, observational learning, self-developed values, depth-focused relationships, and self-reliant planning work together to create someone who is genuinely comfortable in her own skin. Whether you recognize these patterns in yourself or you're trying to understand a Sigma female in your life, remember that this isn't about being better or worse than other personality types. It's about understanding and appreciating the beautiful diversity of human consciousness and the many different ways our brains can wire themselves for success and fulfillment. The Sigma female's approach to life offers valuable lessons about authenticity, self-reliance, and the power of internal motivation. In a world that often emphasizes external validation and social connection, her example reminds us that there are other paths to happiness and success, paths that are just as valid and often just as rewarding. Understanding these different brain wiring patterns helps us create a more inclusive and appreciative society where everyone's unique neurological gifts can be recognized and valued. The Sigma female's contribution to this diversity is not just significant, it's essential. 13. Cognitive flexibility under pressure. The Sigma female's brain rapidly reconfigures attention and problem-solving strategies when conditions shift, allowing her to pivot without panic and generate options. Others miss a neurological agility that favors adaptation over approval. 14. Boundary-centered sensory gating. Her nervous system prioritizes meaningful inputs and filters overstimulation, preserving clarity and energy by saying no at the perceptual level first, which is why she can remain steady, focused, and self-possessed in noisy environments. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. I'm your host, Alfred, and I read every comment.